right, welcome back into the channel. Happy Thursday, happy whatever day you are watching this. As always on the channel on Thursdays, we are going to preview every single NFL game for this upcoming week. Week 6 is about to get underway. Let's hop into these football games. And the Thursday night slate sees the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Football Giants. The 4-1 Eagles travel to New York to take on the 1-4 Giants in the Jackson Dart era now. Some highs, beating the Chargers, some lows, losing to the Saints already through 2 weeks. When I look at this game on paper, I do feel that the next really 3 weeks for Philly should be get-right spots. They play the Giants, they play the Vikings, and then they play the Giants again before their bye week. Philly opened up at -7.5 for this game. They're still at -7.5. I think that you can throw against the New York Giants. We've seen big performances from wide receiver ones against this team this year. If there's ever going to be a get-right spot for A.J. Brown, statistically and on paper, this would be that spot. As well, I think Devonta Smith should be able to get some work. Overall, the Eagles offense should look a lot better in this game consistently throughout. Yes, the Giants have some good defensive personnel, but they have been susceptible to getting the ball moved on them, especially on the run game too. Look at what Omarion Hampton did against this team a few weeks ago. Saquon Barkley in this spot should be getting up. It's a revenge game for him, obviously, versus the Giants. He torched them both times last year. But you should be able to move the ball against this Giants team if you are the Philadelphia Eagles offense. You know, I know the sky is falling for this Eagles team. They're 2-0 on the road. Road record's usually a good indication of a team's mental toughness. And, you know, you just out-talent them. And then on the other side for the New York Giants, while I wouldn't go into this game expecting to win if I was a Giants fan, I mean, if you do, like, hell, that's absolutely awesome for your future. What does Jackson Dart look like against a Vic Fangio defense? Fangio's obviously been one of those defensive coordinators that's been around forever. We all know that Belichick used to love playing against rookie quarterbacks. And for my, savvy bettors out there, it used to be a thing like, oh, Belichick versus a rookie quarterback. Bet that guy to throw an interception because Belichick's going to throw some things at him that he just hasn't seen. Is Fangio able to throw some things at Jackson Dart that he just hasn't seen? Confuse him, force him into a turnover or two. We saw New Orleans kind of mess with Dart and just the Giants offense as a whole last week and get, 4 or 5 turnovers against them. I would look for Fangio to kind of try and mimic that, especially on a short week. The Giants get Tyrone Tracy back, but it feels like without Malik Neighbors, the offense is going to be questionable for the rest of the season. That being said, I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. I view them as still a legit Super Bowl contender, and I think the Giants are looking ahead to next year. In the final score, again, I do believe that this should be a get-right game for Philly. I feel like they should dominate throughout. Give me the Eagles to win 30-17. We head overseas for another London game, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The 3-2 Denver Broncos, coming off of a massive win over the Eagles, take on the only defeated team this season, the 0-5 New York Jets. I think a big story in this game is going to be the Broncos rushing attack versus the Jets rushing defense. Right now, Denver ranks 4th in the NFL in rushing yards per game, whereas the Jets have the 6th worst rush defense, and that's even with Quinnen Williams. At the end of the day, this J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey running back duo is doing exactly what Sean Payton envisioned it doing. It's making the offense two-dimensional, it's taking some work off of Bo Nix, and it's giving, like a similar vibe to Detroit's running back tandem a few years ago, where you have the power guy in Dobbins, and then you have the finesse guy in Harvey. Obviously right now Montgomery and Gibbs are on another level, but in the beginning of that stretch, it's a little similar to me. Harvey not quite as explosive as Gibbs, but I digress. It's what Sean Payton does. Mark Ingram, Pierre Thomas, you can go through Sean Payton's running back history. This is what he wants to do. And I think with that advantage, Denver should be able to control the clock in this game. Bo Nix, does he build off of a really solid fourth quarter that he had versus the Philadelphia Eagles now against this Jets defense, who on paper you would have thought coming into the season would be the strength of the team? Aaron Glenn is in, they extend Sauce Gardner, they have Quinnen Williams, they have Quincy Williams. Like, there's guys on this defense, yet they just haven't performed this year. So I do think that this could be a really solid day overall for the Broncos offense as a whole. And then you look at the flip side of this game, man, and it's just a pure mismatch all the way around. That New York Jets offense and Justin Fields against this Denver Broncos defense. The Broncos defense leads the NFL in sacks. Nick Bonito leads the NFL in sacks. You have reigning defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain. There's just guys all over this defense. And for the Jets, they've been good in garbage time, and they've been good a little bit to open up games when plays are scripted. But in that entire middle area, they have struggled. I've said it now on the channel a couple times. I just don't think that Justin Fields is a winning quarterback in the NFL. I think he's a great athlete, but I don't think he's got what it takes through 4 quarters to lead to success. Obviously, the Jets are seeing that at this point in time. The Broncos 3-2. If I'm a Broncos fan, I feel like we should at least be 4-1. The Broncos, I do think, are better than their record says. This is a complete mismatch. Give me Denver overseas to control the ball, control the clock, and win this football game 27-10. Up next, we have the 2-3 Arizona Cardinals traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And man, the Colts have just been one hell of a surprise this year, right? Offensively, they're currently 4th in the NFL in yards per game and 2nd in the NFL in points per game. So not only are they moving down the field, but they're efficient when they get down there in the red zone. And that makes sense, right? They have a strong rushing attack in Jonathan Taylor, who I think this season is like, hey, I'm re-entering top 5 running back in the league conversations. Tyler Warren, their first-round draft pick, looks to be the best tight end in the draft over Colston Loveland, certainly. But I think you could make a case right now, as it stands, that Tyler Warren is the top 5 tight end in the league. What he can give you in terms of his versatility. We've seen him rush in a touchdown this year. He's received one. I think it's only a matter of time before he throws one. Maybe this is the game for that spot. The Colts opened up as -5.5 favorites and has been bet all the way up to -7.5. So sharp bettors, the public, whoever you name it, likes the Indianapolis Colts in this game. And I do get it. I am interested to see, though. Jonathan Taylor, obviously, he's been electric this year. The Cardinals do have the 9th ranked run defense in football. If Jonathan Taylor can just say, hey, I don't care about your 9th ranked run defense. I'm just better than you. Plain and simple. It's going to be a long, long day for the Arizona Cardinals. I think that no matter what, they're going to need a special Kyler Murray game to compete in this game. And that's the thing with Kyler. It's just completely unpredictable. Usually being in a dome does help. But when that special game is going to come, you don't know. When that terrible game is going to come, you don't know. The Cardinals are a team that could play up to any level of competition and play down to any level of competition. They're so inconsistent. They're so wild. Maybe this is the spot where Kyler and Marv are like, yep, this is our game. And, Marv gets 130 receiving yards and Kyler throws for 3 touchdowns and they make it a game. Or maybe it's a game where the Colts just say, hey, you guys suck. Another interesting note, Shane Steichen versus Jonathan Gannon, the 2 coordinators for the Philadelphia Eagles, in the first Super Bowl that they played against the Kansas City Chiefs, squaring off in this game. So these guys are familiar with each other. Just a fun little note there. I am going to take the Colts to win this game, though. I think I'd be just an absolute idiot to predict against them at this point in time. I'm going to take the Colts to win this game 35-16. I don't think it's particularly close. I think the Colts are just a wagon right now, man. The 3-2 Los Angeles Chargers take on the 1-4 Miami Dolphins. For the Chargers, it's been a tough last 2 weeks, losing to the Giants and then last week to the Commanders. They started off 3-0. They got a lot of injuries. The rushing attack, was it exposed? Was it, never really that good? You could have that conversation with yourself. Either way, it's been a bad 2 weeks for the Chargers, but it's been a terrible season for the Miami Dolphins. Something's got to give in this particular spot, right? And when I look at this game, my main question is, can Miami get pressure and can they cover Justin Herbert's first read? Because if so, Justin Herbert's going to have to create, and it could be a long day, and it could be a much more competitive game. If Miami can't do those things, I do expect Justin Herbert to show off the special talent he is and just dot up this Dolphins secondary. It's easy to move the ball against them when they are not getting to you. But Justin Herbert in the last 2 weeks has been hit 21 times with that lack of offensive line right now due to injuries. And now with Omari and Hampton out, teams probably don't have to defend the run as much as they previously would. So it's possible that those Miami edge rushers, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson, they could pin their ears back and say, let's go get Justin Herbert. The Dolphins, I do want to make note of this. They allow a 117.6 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. That is the worst in the NFL. So as I mentioned there, the Dolphins' path to victory is to make this game ugly and messy and hope that Tua can make a couple plays. I don't think it's going to happen. At the end of the day, when I look at this game, the best unit on the football field is Jesse Minter's defense. And I think Jesse Minter's defense stifles Tua more than the Dolphins defense stifles Justin Herbert. I think it could be a little bit more competitive and could actually be a game going into the fourth quarter, which people might not expect. But give me the Chargers to win 28-17 on the road in Miami. The New England Patriots travel to New Orleans. 3-2 Patriots, who are 2-0 on the road. Again, I think it's a good sign of a well-coached team. Travel to New Orleans to take on the 1-4 Saints. The Saints got their first win of the season last year against the New York Giants, and the New England Patriots are coming off of a massive, massive win over the Buffalo Bills. If I'm a Patriots player, fan in the front office, I do also feel like we should be 4-1. If they just didn't turn the ball over so much versus Pittsburgh, they'd probably win that football game. But that is life. Drake May has been absolutely special this year. You could see 1,261 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He is turning into the player that the New England Patriots thought that he absolutely would. And I want to say something. The New England Patriots, if they are a legit team, because the rest of the way, per Tankathon, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They should make the playoffs, but these are the kind of games that they should win. You shouldn't be coming off of a big win versus Buffalo and then dropping a gimme to New Orleans. If you are going to be a legit team this year and a legit playoff team, these are the kinds of games you have to win. My one flaw on New England right now is their rushing attack. It's just non-existent. It's 6th worst in the NFL in terms of rushing yards per game. And I don't know why this team isn't letting Travion Henderson at least attempt to be the answer to this problem. You drafted him in the 2nd round, and you're seeing all these talents, especially out of that fucking school. Emeka Egbuka and Quinshon Judkins are shining out of Ohio State, and Travion Henderson was just as good as those guys, in my opinion, at Ohio State, yet he's not being utilized by New England. Is this a Mike Vrabel giving veterans the thing? Is it what we're seeing in practice? Is Travion Henderson just not that good? I don't know, but it can't be much worse than you're currently at. So I would like to see Travion Henderson get more run. Obviously, the Antonio Gibson injury is unfortunate, but that creates more opportunities. How many fumbles does Ramondre Stevenson need to have before Henderson gets any bit of look at things? I don't know. The resurgence of Stephon Diggs, he's currently top 12 in the NFL in receiving yards, and the guy only plays about 50% of the snaps. So the Patriots have unlocked the way to use Diggs, the best overall at this stage of his career, and they are getting a shit ton out of him. Can Spencer Rattler move the ball against the Patriots defense? Because that Patriots run defense is legit. We just watched it slow down James Cook and Josh Allen in the Bills rushing attack, which is one of the best in the NFL. I think Kamara is a great player. Saints rushing attack is nowhere near Buffalo's. If the Saints are going to win this game, Spencer Rattler's going to have to ball out. And Spencer Rattler's actually been playing kind of decent this year. You can see 990 yards, 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. But ever since Christian Gonzalez got back to the Patriots defense, they have been playing at another level. They just stifled Josh Allen, and as good as Spencer Rattler's been playing this year, he ain't Josh Allen. So give me New England to go on the road and win this game. I think they make a statement 27-13 in New Orleans. The 1-4 Cleveland Browns travel all the way from London to Pittsburgh to take on the 3-1 Steelers, who are coming off of a bye week. Just in terms of that advantage alone right now, this game is absolutely must win for Pittsburgh. But when you look at this AFC North and the way things are shaping out, Baltimore's really struggling. They could fall to 1-5 this week. If you beat Cleveland, they would be 1-5. And then the Bengals are your biggest competition. But ever since Joe Burrow got hurt, Jake Browning's 2nd in the NFL in interceptions right now, and he didn't even play the first 2 games, basically. They just traded for Joe Flacco, but is Joe Flacco really that special? Like, this is an opportunity for Pittsburgh to absolutely put pedal to the metal and really take control of this AFC North division. Can they do it? I think this game could be a little bit more competitive than people are thinking. For starters, these AFC North games just always find a way to be competitive. But when you look at this Cleveland defense, they are 2nd in the NFL in yards per game. The Pittsburgh offense is a little bit on, do I trust them? Do I not trust them? They seem to have gotten better. And I really liked what I saw in that Dublin game versus Minnesota. I thought that the rushing attack looked really solid with Kenny Gainwell, and Jalen Warren wasn't even out there. DK Metcalf finally got rolling. You do have some solid tight ends in Washington, Freiermuth, and Jonnu Smith, and Calvin Austin's a nice piece. And Aaron Rodgers did look his best game in the most recent game that they played. Pittsburgh is getting better as the season progresses. But this is a real test right now. This Browns defense is absolutely 100% legit. Myles Garrett and that defensive line, if they get pressure, what's Rodgers going to do? The quick reads have to be there for Pittsburgh in this game. And I do think Cleveland has the personnel to make things absolutely hell for Aaron Rodgers. On the other side, though, Dillon Gabriel, second ever NFL game, meet TJ Watt. I think that there's going to be a couple plays on this game where we see either Gabriel make the right decision or the wrong decision. And I think TJ Watt might absolutely wreck this game for Dillon Gabriel in his second ever stint. Judkins has been absolutely special this year, but ever since Pittsburgh got Derek Harmon back on that defensive line, the rookie they drafted out of Oregon, things have been a little bit better for them. I do think this game is going to be closer than people think, but at the end of the day, I think Pittsburgh smells blood in the water, and Mike Tomlin is just that guy when it comes to winning football games. But I do think it's close, and I do think that it's closer than people think. Give me Pittsburgh 17-14 in a defensive battle. Up next, we have the 2-1 Dallas Cowboys traveling to Carolina to take on the 2-3 Panthers. The Panthers are 2-0 at home this season, so hey, I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to upset. I'm just saying they haven't lost at home this season. When I look at this game, I think the first thing that jumps off the page is, can the Carolina Panthers slow down this Dallas Cowboys offense? The Cowboys offense is top 10 in the NFL right now, and CeeDee Lamb is missing games. There's a reason that Dak Prescott is in MVP conversations. I don't think with the Cowboys record he can be, but he's having a phenomenal season. 1,356 passing yards, second in the NFL, passing touchdowns 10, also second in the NFL. He's really commanding this offense, and again, he's doing this shit with CeeDee Lamb out of the game. Javonte Williams has been a hell of a surprise for Dallas. 447 rushing yards through 5 games and 5 touchdowns. It's a two-dimensional offense. And Brian Schottenheimer, we have to give him his flowers. A lot of people, and myself included, didn't think that Schottenheimer was going to be that great of a head coach. He's been pretty solid with the Cowboys roster that he has to work with, especially with how bad their defensive personnel is. You kind of get to the spot where you're like, if they just figured out a way to get Micah Parsons that money, where would they be this season? But I digress. George Pickens has as well been really solid. 5 touchdowns already at this point in time. He's a fucking scoring machine for them. And I don't know if Carolina's got the personnel to slow down Dak in this offense. I also don't know if the Cowboys defense is going to be able to stop the Panthers offense. The thing with the Panthers is they haven't been able to put together a consistent full game yet. And you think if that's kind of where they're at, Dallas, we know offensively can put together a full game. Bryce Young has had some really good halves, and I don't think he's having the worst year ever. I'm not, at a point where it's like bench Bryce Young, but it's not where a point where I'm like celebrating Bryce Young like we were in the second half of last year as well. Rico Dowdle revenge game. You can run on the Dallas Cowboys. Rico Dowdle, former Cowboy, coming off a 200-yard performance. Again, if the Panthers are going to win, there's going to need to be little things like that go their way. I'm not going to pick them. I think Dallas is just on a heater right now offensively, man. The way that Dak is slinging that rock right now and just dissecting defenses, I don't expect it to slow down in this matchup. I'm going to take Dallas on the road to get the win, 38-24. One of my personal games of the weekend, the Seattle Seahawks 3-2, 2-0 on the road, travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, 4-1, 3-0 at home. Jags coming off of a short week, coming off of that crazy Monday Night Football game, the fall, the stumble, the touchdown. Trevor Lawrence leads the Jacksonville Jaguars to a win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and Seattle coming off of a shootout loss to Baker and the Buccaneers. I would actually argue Seattle played better last week than Jacksonville, despite the outcomes of their games being an L for Seattle and a W for Jacksonville, but I digress. I think the biggest thing in this game is going to be the team that turns the ball over less probably wins the football game. That was what happened with Seattle last week, but you can't just look at every single NFL box score and say, yeah, whoever won the turnover differential won the game. In this spot, I feel like we can say that. Darnold has absolutely been playing better than Trevor Lawrence this year, but the Jacksonville defense has been way better at forcing turnovers than any defense in the NFL, but definitely the Seattle Seahawks. Jacksonville leads the NFL right now with 14 forced turnovers. They get interceptions. Devin Lloyd, in my opinion, is the early favorite to be Defensive Player of the Year. It never goes to a linebacker, so will that hold up? I doubt it. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they just played Kansas City, who are one of the best rush defenses in football. I do think that they kind of get back to relying on the run game with ETN. with Bashaw Tootin, especially with Brenton Strange out. This guy was a massive part of their passing game. Maybe we see a little bit more action for Travis Hunter. Little side Travis Hunter rant. I think that he needs to commit to one side of the football. I think that in the end, I think he can play both sides of the ball. I think he has the durability to do it. I think like what we are seeing him do, he could continue to do for the rest of the season and stay healthy. I don't think he could stay effective. I think it's really hurting him, not because everybody at the collegiate level, he was clearly a far superior athlete, right? At this NFL level, he's on par with them, and now he's getting less reps than them. He's just practicing less and training less than them in specific spots. I feel like he's not being an elite shutdown corner. I feel like he's not being an elite wide receiver. I would lean he should play wide receiver just because I think he's a little bit better suited for that at the NFL. I think he has a great catch radius and is a dynamic athlete when you give him the ball in space. I think we've seen little glimpses of that in Jacksonville, but that's the direction I would go. Brian Thomas Jr. had a good game going last week, so the Jacksonville offense could get back to where they were at, but I don't know if they can keep pace with the Seattle offense. They're really going to, again, rely on their defense to force Darnold into some turnovers because the rushing attack, Ken Walker, has been really solid on the eye test this year. I know some of the numbers aren't there, but I think when you watch him play, he's just uber talented. And Sam Darnold and JSN, it has created a top 5 passing attack in football in terms of yards per game. Jackson Smith and Jigba's top 5 in the NFL in receiving yards. Sam Darnold, I think he might be playing better this year than he did last year in Minnesota. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. So this is a really good football game. I think it's 2 playoff teams that are facing off against one another. I'm going to lean Seattle to win here because I trust their quarterback just a little bit more at this point in time. But man, if Jacksonville wins this game and they went on a 3-game run of beating San Francisco, Kansas City, and Seattle, we're going to have a real conversation about the Jacksonville Jaguars as legit Super Bowl contenders because they're finding ways to beat good to great teams at this point in time. But give me Seattle on the road to pick up a 27-20 victory. The Los Angeles Rams travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to play in this game. It's not trending that way. The Ravens have a bye week next week, so I doubt they push him back out there. So I'm going to talk about this game as if Lamar is not playing, but I guess we don't have an official diagnosis out there. When it comes to the Rams, man, their path to victory is pretty simple to me. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, the Ravens defense can't stop a nosebleed. You have a good rushing attack there. If you get to a 3rd down and medium, get that ball to Puka and keep it moving and control the clock and use those edge rushers that you have in Byron Young and Jared Verse to make Cooper Rush, or if it is Snoop Huntley, uncomfortable in this football game. Like, I know that's not a lot of a Rams analysis, but there's just not a lot to give. Like, beat the hell out of the Ravens like everybody else has that has good offensive pieces. For Baltimore, if they were to win this game, you'd think it has to be a Derrick Henry legacy game at this point in time. And I'm talking prime Henry, 200 plus rushing yards, control the clock, keep Stafford, keep Puka, keep Kyron on the bench. Do I think it's likely? I don't think it's likely. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but it's their only shot, right? And the Rams defense, especially even in the run, isn't actually even a bad unit. So, if I had a lock of the week segment, I think I would say Rams over Ravens, especially the Rams are more rested. They played on Thursday. Like, there's just so much going in Los Angeles' favor here. Give me the Rams to beat the Ravens. I don't think they put up as many points as the Texans because I think they're just more focused on controlling the clock and getting in and out of the game. Rams win 31-13 in Baltimore. The 1-4 Tennessee Titans take on the 1-4 Las Vegas Raiders. Cam Ward and Geno Smith. Man, if I've ever seen a game that is drawing the attention of the masses, this is it. Absolutely. I do think Cam Ward's actually played pretty solid this year. I know his numbers are horrendous, but I think that's more of a reflection of the talent around him. Again, if you watch the Titans play, which I get it if you're not a Titans fan, and how much are you really watching the Titans ball at this point? But I do think Cam Ward has what it takes. I would be buying Cam Ward stock if that was a thing, because I do think he's actually a franchise level quarterback, and Geno Smith has just regressed so bad. I was never that big on him in Seattle. There were people that when he was in Seattle floated him in top 10 conversations. I didn't have him in those, but I thought he was a solid quarterback that you could build a decent roster with and win football games. Right now, Geno's the problem for the Raiders. 9 interceptions. He's just giving the ball away too much, and the Titans can take the ball away. They're like top 10 in the NFL right now in forced turnovers, which could lead to massive trouble. I think if the Raiders are going to win this game, it's going to be an Ashton Jeanty game. And Jeanty has come alive the last 2 weeks, which is really good news for Raiders fans. He's obviously had some big games, and the Titans are the third worst defense in terms of stopping the run this year. So maybe you just kind of take the ball out of Geno's hands and let Jeanty control the clock. Max Crosby makes a couple of plays against a rookie quarterback, and you get in and get out with a W. That's kind of where I'm going to land on how this game ends up. I think the Titans roster is just so bad, and last week's win over the Cardinals said way more about the Cardinals to me than it did the Tennessee Titans. And the Raiders, I think they have more talent on the roster, and if Geno Smith could just calm down and not give the ball to the other team, they should be able to win this game. Give me the Raiders with or without Brock Bowers to win 21-13. I don't think it's a fun game by any means. I think if you have Ashton Jeanty in fantasy, it might be a fun game, but other than that, it's just, I mean, it's 1-4 versus 1-4. The Cincinnati Bengals, 2-3 with new quarterback Joe Flacco, travel to Green Bay to take on the 1-1 Packers. Do I like the Joe Flacco trade for the Bengals? Let's just start there before we talk about the game. I do like the trade for them. I think that anything is probably better than Jake Browning at this point. Again, the 8 interceptions, you're just absolutely killing yourself if you're the Bengals. The defense isn't great to begin with, and you can't afford to give offenses extra opportunities. And Browning just simply wasn't getting the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins enough when it mattered. I know if you look at the box score of that Lions game last week, you think, oh, maybe Browning figured it out. It was too little too late for my fantasy heads out there. I think Chase Brown with Joe Flacco, there should be an uptick, especially in those PPR leagues, because he is going to catch a lot of passes from Flacco. I think Flacco just has the ability to keep the Bengals floating in most football games, right? I think that what Flacco can do is he can get the ball to his wide receiver one, he'll take the check down there, and he'll give you less negative plays than Browning. I don't think he gives you a bunch of high upside plays, but I think he gives you less negative plays than Browning, and is just a vet that's able to keep things on schedule. And against lesser opponents, you have a shot. In this game, no shot. I mean, look at the spread. Minus 14.5. That's where it started. That's where it stayed. Minus 1,600 money line on the Packers. The Packers are coming off of a bye. The Bengals are coming off a beat down from the Detroit Lions, and the Lions are one of those teams that when you play them, typically you still feel it the next week. So I think everything is in Green Bay's favor here. They're going to be able to run the ball with Josh Jacobs all over this team. Jordan Love's going to be able to take a couple deep shots. Jordan Love's actually played pretty solid this year, 1,000 passing yards even, which for anybody with like OCD, like what a nice stat to see. 8 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Micah Parsons in this game. Joe Flacco's going to play him again this season. Absolutely brutal for Flacco. Yeah, give me the Packers to win this game. I think that they do put on a bit of a show, 34-17 in this contest. Then we move to a game that I'm really excited about because I think both of these teams have played pretty exciting football at this point in the season. The San Francisco 49ers, who are 4-1 this season, 3-0 on the road, versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 4-1 this season, 1-1 at home. I do think Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback in this football game, and I do think we're in for a show, man. The 49ers are top 5 right now in the NFL in offensive yards per game, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 7th in the NFL in points per game. So these teams should be able to sustain drives, should be able to move the ball. Shanahan is doing his thing out there. No Kittle this week, I don't think. No Ricky Pearsall, I don't think, this week. Jawan Jennings could be back. Mac Jones got the shit kicked out of him on Thursday Night Football, but a long week, some extra preparation, some extra much-needed rest. Robert Saleh's defense has been at least competitive. And then you look at the other side of this game, Baker motherfucking Mayfield, bro. My MVP right now, my MVP pick preseason, my MVP pick 5 weeks into the season, 1,283 passing yards, 10 touchdowns to just 1 interception. The offensive line has been shuffled around like 3 times already for Tampa. Mike Evans has missed games. Chris Godwin has missed games. Bucky Irving has missed a game. It's been Bake Show cooking out there. And Emeka Egbuka is 4th in the NFL in receiving yards as a rookie. Everybody was like, why the hell did they pick a wide receiver? Because he's that fucking dude. That's why. Bake Show and Emeka Egbuka have been a fantastic duo to watch this year. I don't know if anybody could slow down Baker, so I don't know if I trust the Niners defense to slow down Baker Mayfield necessarily, especially on the road, but they could. They could. Can the Buccaneers stop Christian McCaffrey? I think that that's the key to this game, right? I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here so you could see McCaffrey's their leading rusher, McCaffrey's their leading receiver. Christian McCaffrey is 6th in the NFL right now in receptions, and I think he's 2nd in targets. 387 receiving yards. He doesn't have a rushing touchdown this year. His 3 touchdowns are on receiving touchdowns. They are just riding the Christian McCaffrey horse at this point in time, and it's working. How long is it sustainable? I don't know. When you look at this Buccaneers defense, Vita Vea and that run defense are obviously electric. You have guys like Levante David at linebacker who have been bets. Can they do enough to slow down Christian McCaffrey in this football game and force Mac Jones to make plays elsewhere? I think they can. And at the end of the day, as much as I do think that this will be a game and be a fun game, if on one side you're giving me Mac Jones and on the other side you're giving me Baker Mayfield, I'm going to pick the Baker Mayfield team probably 9 times out of 10, depending on roster, but give me Bake Show to keep this shit rolling. Tampa opened up as -2.5 point favorites. They are still at -2.5 point favorites. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win this game. I do think it's fun. 30-27 on another walk-off field goal Bake Show with his 5th game-winning drive in 6 weeks. The Sunday night football game, the Detroit Lions at 4-1 take on the Kansas City Chiefs at 2-3. There is so much going on in this game. I am super, super excited to watch this football game. The Chiefs are favorites right now, which I don't fully understand. The Chiefs are getting 1.5 points at home. Usually that means it'd be close to just a pick 'em on a neutral site. But when you look at these two teams and the way they've played this year, to predict a pick 'em is kind of interesting. And sometimes I'm like, what does Vegas know? Well, what do you guys know when you're making this game Chiefs favored? Begging everybody to bet the Detroit Lions. Listen, when I look at this game on paper, the Detroit Lions, they're rolling. They're 6th in the NFL in yards per game. They're 1st in points per game. They can kill you with the run. They can kill you with the pass. The Detroit Lions are looking very much like the Detroit Lions looked like last year. A dominant football game. A dominant football team who could dominate you game to game. Week 1 versus the Packers is looking like a pure anomaly. Because since then, the Lions have come out and been absolutely sensational. Jared Goff, 12 touchdowns to just 2 picks, 1,100 passing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs is having a really solid year. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been one of the more consistent wide receivers in the NFL for a long time now. It stands in this game. Aiden Hutchinson is up to 5 sacks. Jack Campbell has been playing pretty solid for them. You have Brian Branch. It's just an overall really good football team and a legit Super Bowl favorite at this point in time. And then you have Kansas City. Kansas City's 2-3 right now. Very Patrick Mahomes dependent. You could see there he's their leading rusher still. We're 5 weeks into the season, and Patrick Mahomes is still their leading rusher. This isn't just an anomaly that happened in a couple of games. We're now over a month into the year, and he's still their main rushing attack. That's scary. They're probably in the market for a running back at the trade deadline. Mahomes has been special. 11 total touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. He had that bad pick 6 last week, but he didn't see the defender. But for some reason, when Mahomes doesn't see the defender, it's like, well, he didn't see him. It's kind of your job to see him, but I digress there. When I look at this game, I think there's a couple key factors. 1, the Kansas City Chiefs have a really good run defense, and the Detroit Lions have a really good rush offense. Can Kansas City win that battle like they did over Jacksonville? If Kansas City wins that battle, can they stop Jared Goff in this passing attack? Because Kansas City hasn't been able to generate a pass rush this year when rushing just 4, meaning Spags will have to dial up the blitz. And I know a lot of people are thinking, yeah, when Spags dials up that blitz, Jared Goff, we've seen him against the blitz. When he gets pressured, he turns into a worse quarterback. Yes, but when he knows the blitz is coming, like he did last year against Brian Flores in Minnesota, he can dot you up with these weapons. Amon-Ra, Laporta, Jameson Williams. For me, on paper, this game screams a Detroit Lions victory. When you look at a Chiefs path to victory, You probably need Jared Goff to make some unforced errors and turnovers and get you extra possessions. And I think you also need Mahomes to play out of his mind. You need an MVP level Patrick Mahomes performance, especially without Rashee Rice. This is a game where not having Rashee Rice really hurts Kansas City because they don't have the firepower, in my opinion, to keep up with Detroit. Worthy, they're on a short week. He was like limping out there. He had to come out of games. He is definitely a guy that's a little banged up right now. Travis Kelce isn't who he is. Like we just saw, their leading receiver is Tyquan Thornton at this point in time, man. I don't believe Kansas City is dynamic enough offensively to keep up with Detroit. So I'm going to pick the Lions to win this game 35-24. I think Mahomes is able to move the ball a little bit because he's Mahomes. But at this point, Detroit's offense is just firing on such high cylinders that I can't pick against them in this spot. The Buffalo Bills, coming off of that loss to the Patriots, travel to Atlanta to take on the 2-2 Falcons. Atlanta is coming off of a bye week in this one. Buffalo, man. Buffalo got brought back down to earth against New England. It's a tough loss to face, but I think that they're going to be able to lean more on their run in this football game. The Patriots' interior defensive line is very, very stout, and while the Falcons have good edge rushers and have been able to get to the quarterback this season, their rush defense is middle of the pack at best. James Cook should be back on track in this game. And even the pass rushers that are good for Atlanta, Josh Allen's super strong, super mobile. I would expect him to be able to make some plays. So I do think Buffalo's offense is kind of back to what we are used to seeing with them. My big question is, what does Atlanta's offense look like? Because Atlanta statistically is one of the better teams in football. However, we see like these high highs with the Falcons and these low lows. And coming off of a bye week, which I thought was really solid for them to kind of, hey, we're 2-2, let's recheck in, let's regroup, and let's go try and make a push to compete with Tampa for this division. I think it was a prime spot for them, a really, really young team. They're off a bye. Can their offense be effective versus Buffalo? And it's going to need to be, yes, Bijan is an absolute stud, and you can run the ball in Buffalo. So I expect a heavy dosage of Bijan and Tyler Algier in this football game. But I think there's going to be a point where Buffalo's defense makes Michael Penix make a couple plays to stay in this game. And can he do it? That'll be the big question. And I don't know the answer. Because some weeks I think he can, and some weeks I think he can't. And we're kind of just flipping a coin at this point. But in this football game, it's going to be close. I do think it's going to be a competitive game, man. I don't think that this is blowout written all over it. I know Bills fans want to, they see the Falcons, they see the record, and they're like, yeah, get this team up out of here, pack them up. I know, Dad. I know. I know you're looking at that, but I'm telling you, I think this game's gonna be closer than people think. I'm still gonna pick the Bills to win because, again, in a game that I think is gonna be close, would have rather Josh Allen or Michael Penix. Josh Allen. So give me the Bills to win this game, 28-24 on the road, in a really fun game. In a really, really fun game. And then maybe the game that I'm looking forward to the most out of anybody, and I think it's because of just what I think about the Bears and how excited I am for them versus the Washington Commanders, man. We obviously know this game from last year, the Hail Mary that landed, Jaden Daniels throws it up, Tyreek Stevenson's pointing at the crowd, it bounces, it lands, Noah Brown catches it, and the Commanders win. The Bears season goes off the rails, the Commanders season goes all the way to an NFC championship. It felt like that was the turning point for both teams. We come into this game, I don't think that there's going to be any level of lack of concentration from the Bears on their side of things. I think that they want to win this football game, maybe more than the Commanders. There's a chip on their shoulder from last season, absolutely. When I look at this game, though, the thing that jumps off the page to me, the Commanders are number one right now in the NFL in rushing attack. We were thought it would be the Ravens, and then Lamar gets hurt and Derrick Henry. That is the Commanders this year. They are running the ball in terms of yards per game better than any team in the NFL. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is averaging 6 yards an attempt. He is highly efficient. Jaden Daniels, we know who he is. He's obviously a mobile quarterback. We question where he'd be at with the knee sprain playing the Chargers. He looked pretty mobile against them to me. The Bears have the second worst run defense in football. To me, this presents a massive opportunity where you could see there's a little bit of potential rain on the prediction for the Commanders to control the ball, control the clock, and we know when they do that, they can have very efficient drives. Having Jaden Daniels in the red zone as a massive threat to having effective game script. That jumps off the page to me. Will the Bears passing attack versus the Commanders defense be able to match drive for drive? We've seen some really high highs out of Caleb this year. Rome Odunze looks like an absolute superstar. You still have DJ Moore, Zacchaeus, Luther Burden had a couple big moments right before their bye week. DeAndre Swift's been decent in the passing game. Can they go blow for blow with this Commanders team? The Commanders are fourth in the NFL in sacks. Caleb Williams is going to have to be smart and not in this game create negative plays. If you create negative plays and waste drives, Washington's going to kill you. And that goes for the penalties too, because the Bears are one of the most penalized teams before their bye week. Hopefully they clean that shit up. But there's a lot of opportunities for the Bears to waste drives that I don't think is necessarily there for Washington. I will say this, it doesn't look like Terry McLaurin's going to play, trending towards not playing, for reports of Thursday morning. So if they need a big play, I don't know where it comes from. Debo has been really solid this year, and obviously no Jalen Johnson, but is Debo that guy? I don't know. It would be a massive statement win for the Bears. If the Bears could win this football game, I feel like everybody would look at them and go, hold up. The Bears just beat a legit Super Bowl contender. The Commanders were in the NFC Championship last year. The Bears coming out of this bye week may have figured some things out. They were 0-2. They went 2-2 into the bye. I don't think it's going to happen. I want it to happen. You guys know me. I'm rooting for the Bears. I think the Commanders win this football game. Again, I just think their ability to run the ball and control the clock and limit the Bears' opportunities. And then I can't predict the Bears to not do something to shoot themselves in the foot at least a couple times this game. And I think if you waste those opportunities, Washington's going to make you pay for it every time. Every time at this point in time. So give me the Commanders to win this game. I think it's more fun than last year's game, 30-24. I think they get just enough more opportunities, move the ball just a bit more, and run the ball, control the clock, and will win this football game. But that's it, man, for my Week 6 NFL predictions. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you made it this far in the video and you liked what you saw, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. It's good for the algorithm, and it lets me know that you guys like these kind of videos. So if you love the NFL and you're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, hit that button. I appreciate your support. I will catch you next time. Peace.